feel like it's never gonna stop raining. Yum. Like seriously though, I think I've only seen the sun maybe for like 3 hours total in the past 7 or 8 days. At this point, it's been pretty miserable. It rained literally all night last night. Everything is wet. I can't get anything to dry, and I don't really like it very much. So I just picked up this adhesive drawer liner from Home Depot, and I'm gonna try to use it to create the backsplash up here above the stove so that when condensation from the stove comes up while I'm cooking, it doesn't get into the carpet liner that's on there currently. I'm gonna try to just stick this directly to the carpet. I don't know if it's gonna work. I think it might. It seems like a pretty strong adhesive. Yep, that's definitely not gonna work. So now I have all this extra adhesive drawer liner here, but I don't think I have to waste it. You know, I was kind of debating whether or not I wanted to maybe go in there, back into Home Depot, I'm still at the parking lot here, and grab a piece of sheet metal and then try to cut it to size and then screw it up. I think that would look pretty nice, but I could also probably just get a really thin sheet of plywood and then stick what I have left of this to that plywood and then screw the plywood up, and it would do the same thing. And I actually kind of like how this looks. That's why I bought it, because I like the little pattern. It kind of matches the carpet and it adds a little bit more light. It's a little bit brighter because it is white. So I think I'm gonna try that first, and that project will have to wait until the weekend though. I'm not actually in San Francisco though right now. I'm currently in the South Bay, about an hour south of San Francisco in the San Jose area. The reason that I'm down here, well, I guess there's a couple reasons. I do like being down here in the South Bay. It's a little bit less populated. It's a little bit easier to drive around. Things are a little more spread out. There's more space down here. So like going to like Starbucks, for example, they actually have parking lots. Like I can go park in the parking lot and spend the day working at Starbucks. I don't have to park, you know, 6 blocks away and then walk in the pouring rain to Starbucks like I would have to do in the city, and then worry about street sweeping and 2-hour parking and all these crazy regulations. It's a little bit easier just to hang out down here. Even stealth camping at night is easier down here and everything. So that's part of the reason why I'm here, but also because I kind of need to do that drive back and forth between San Francisco. At this point, it really does seem like driving is the only way that I can effectively charge up the Kodiak. I have that little 12-volt adapter where I can plug it into the cigarette lighter and then drive around, and it usually takes about 4 or 5 hours of driving like on the highway for the alternator to actually charge the Kodiak all the way. But you know, the solar is not really, it's not really cutting it at this point. The days are super short. It's almost pretty much the longest night of the year, the shortest day of the year. We're getting pretty close to that here. And then in addition to that, the sun just hasn't come out. Like I said, I'm not exaggerating when I say, like, I have not seen the sun for more than a couple of hours over the past week and a half at this point, and it's supposed to stay this way pretty much for the next full week. So it's been a little bit stressful on the solar system. You know, you can have as much solar as you want, but if the sun never comes out, and it's not really going to charge up your battery, that's the way that it works. So like I said in a previous video, the new fridge does use a little bit more power than the old one did, and it's not a lot. Like this thing can still run for, you know, 3-4 days on the Kodiak without any sun coming in at all. So then when you add the solar during the day, even with the cloud cover, you still get a little bit of power. I can still kind of make up for what it's using during the day and then kind of extend that life cycle of the battery for maybe another day or two. But that being said, it's not enough to like replenish what it used all night and then add some during the day. So I do definitely need to do some driving occasionally and do that hour and a half drive back to the city just to kind of give an extra push to the Kodiak. And you know, I'm thinking about maybe at some point upgrading my solar, adding another 100-watt panel up there, maybe trying to figure out something with the surfboard. That way I can almost double my solar, maybe try to push up to like 275, 300 watts on the roof. And that way, so you know, when I do see the sun during these really cloudy periods, I can really take advantage of that sunshine and use it to kind of power the Kodiak and fill it up all the way and top it off, so that then I'm not getting behind like I am right now. Changing it up a little bit for lunch today. I'm gonna try making some frozen fake bacon, and then making like a BLT, except I don't have any tomato, so that's a little bit of a problem. But this is gonna be like a lettuce and bacon and bread sandwich. I don't know, just sounded like something interesting to try. That was a surprisingly delicious lunch, and I think the best part was the cleanup. That fake bacon doesn't have nearly the amount of grease that real bacon has, so like wiping out the pan, it took like 1 second just to wipe it all out and clean it up, spray a little bit of water on it, and I was done. And in other news, it is raining again. It stopped for a little while, but we seem to be back at it. You can see there's all water all over the windows, and it's coming down a little bit, and you know, it's just not a lot of fun to deal with. You know, I know I've talked about this in the past, but dealing with rain and van life, it's not really like the rain that's the problem. Walking around outside when it's a little rainy, that's not the end of the world. That's okay. But the problem is when stuff gets wet and you live in such a small space, it's really hard to get it dry if it just is going to keep raining every single day for 2 straight weeks. So, like for example, my wetsuit, I surfed like over a week ago. Before Thanksgiving, I paddled out and got a few waves and surfed for a few hours in Santa Cruz, and I put my suit out to dry in the sun, and the next day I did that in the sun, but it still was a little damp after 2 days. And then it just started raining, and it hasn't stopped since. So like there's no way for me to let it out and let it dry. And even when the rain stops, it's so humid outside because the weather pattern is just so wet and rainy that it doesn't even dry even when it's out there in the middle of the day, even if it does stop raining for a couple of hours. So it just kind of stinks. Stuff like that. My towel for, you know, the gym, I went and took a shower last night. That's going to take forever to dry out. One of the things I'll do to try to deal with the condensation and the moisture that comes from either like a really cold morning in the van or just a wet, rainy morning in the van is to just blast the heat as soon as I drive and leave the spot that I parked at. And I'll just blast that heat and I'll keep it going for as long as I can, as hot as it can go, to the point where it's like very uncomfortable to be inside the van for me. But I know that that extra heat is going to help to dry up the condensation in the window, maybe help to dry my gym towel a little bit as well, and then kind of clear any condensation in the back and just try to dry things out as much as I can. I'll also open the vent during the day and kind of just blow some air, get some circulation in here to help mitigate any sort of condensation and moisture. But like I said, it's not the most fun to deal with, but it's just part of van life, you know, and that's kind of just part of the deal here, is being a little bit uncomfortable, and that's a sacrifice that comes with a lot of benefits, the benefits of van life that I'm certainly not going to trade in for anything else in the world. But at the same time, you do have to kind of be uncomfortable sometimes. You got to deal with cold temperatures and really hot temperatures and kind of wet, crappy environments, and that's just kind of part of the deal. It comes with the territory, and I can't complain too much though. You know, the Bay Area is pretty much the perfect temperature. At least it's not like freezing cold and rainy right now. Like it's like 60 degrees. It's really nice. I'm actually kind of warm in here with this sweatshirt on right now, and I'm pretty lucky to be able to have that. Time to hit the road and head back towards the city here. Try to get the 12-volt charger to charge up the Kodiak, hopefully a little bit. It did actually just pop the fuse in the NV200. That's the first time that that's happened, I think, since I first got the NV. It did happen the first time I plugged it in. It's kind of finicky, I think. You got to be careful. So just a quick update from the future here. I'm now a week in the future. I'm editing this video, and I got to give an update on this 12-volt charger here. It has not been working like it used to. I've gone through maybe 3 or 4 additional fuses. It keeps popping the fuse for the 12-volt cigarette lighter inside the NV200. It's a 20 amp fuse, and it's been going through them pretty much nonstop. And it's weird because it never used to do that. Like, I've been using this thing for a year. I used it in the Element and in the new van. Never really had too many issues with it aside from a couple of times, and now it's just, I've gone through, like I said, quite a few different fuses. And I'm not really sure what to do about it. Maybe upgrade the fuse to like a 25 amp, pop a bigger one in there. I don't want to cause problems to the electrical system in the van though. And I have heard a few stories online of folks causing electrical issues to their vans and to their vehicles because of using this 12-volt adapter here. So I'm a little bit paranoid about it. I haven't really been using it as much since then, but I did just want to give that update from the future, and now we're just going to go back in time a week, back to where I left off. I ended up making it to San Francisco and walking around. It was a beautiful evening in the city, and that's where we're going to go back to. That was pretty fun. I do really enjoy walking around the city at night and taking pictures and video, just the way that the light works and everything. It's a lot of fun. Definitely enjoy it. I was thinking about maybe trying to spend the night in this exact spot, but I have stayed in this area before, like a couple of blocks away from here once, and it was really loud, which makes sense because it is like right in the middle of downtown. Also, it's street sweeping tonight, so I can't stay here anyway, so I think I'm gonna try heading over to the western side of the city. It's usually quite a bit quieter towards the sunset and over there, so try to find a nice quiet place and get a good night's rest. I think this spot will do for the night. Get that heat blasting again this morning, although there's really like not any condensation in here. It didn't rain last night, and it's supposed to be pretty dry, I think, today. I don't think it's gonna rain much, so definitely a good thing. This spot worked out pretty well last night. It's on a little bit of a down slope, like it's a pretty solid slope, but I guess for San Francisco standards, it's pretty much flat. It definitely was okay. And my plan for the day is to go over to a coffee shop. I got a bunch of editing to do, so I gotta find somewhere to plug in. I don't really need the internet at the coffee shop. I just need to be able to have a power supply. My laptop battery is dead, and I definitely cannot run it on the Kodiak right now because the only thing I'm really worried about with the Kodiak is keeping that fridge running. Like I said earlier in the video, the sun is not coming out, not for another week, maybe even longer than that, so I have to be ready for that and just focus on keeping the fridge running. I think that pretty much sums it up for this one though, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to y'all in the next one.